To our final segment of the show, and thank you for still remaining with us. My name is Anthony, your host for the program, and I hope you're having yourselves a good time wherever you're watching us from, in Kigali, in Rwanda, of course, in Tanzania, in Uganda, in Kenya, and as well as the entire world. Definitely, you're most welcome once again. Now, let's cross over to Kenya. After a very peaceful election 5 or 6 days ago, actually right now, the Kenyan markets are seeing a very steady growth, despite the fact that we expected at least some bit of shaky downward movements, of course, due to perceptions that the election could disrupt the economy and very many foreign investors fleeing the exchange. However, recently we are seeing some very good activity on the market, and the market really played out in a surprising manner. Yesterday alone, just looking at how the markets performed yesterday after before even the announcing of the new president, there were 45 Nairobi Securities Exchange equities that participated in trading, meaning people were doing business and people were buying and selling stock. And amongst these, a very wonderful performance here of over 19 gainers was registered and only 16 losers on the market. The gainers were led by Kakuzi, who is also gaining by 8.62% the first day this week, and he gained to close at a price appreciation closing at 400 Kenyan shillings. That is Kakuzi, KUKZ, and he was followed by Jubilee Holdings. Jubilee Holdings gained by 2.97%, a very wonderful margin there for Jubilee, and closed the day with a price of 260 Kenyan shillings. And then after that, we followed, of course, HF Group at a 2.86% gain as well. HF Group also gained by 2.86, closing with a price of 3.6 Kenyan shillings. CIC Insurance Group also came out as a gainer at a 2.50% gain, closing the day with a price of 2.05 Kenyan shillings. And then we had also still on the gaining side Liberty Company, Liberty Holdings, and Liberty gained by 2.133%, closing the day with a price of 6.14 Kenyan shillings. NCBA Bank also came out as a top gainer at a 1.91% increase. That is appreciation on a daily count to close the markets with a 26.70 Kenyan shillings. And then on the losing side, however, we had, like we have already seen, we had about 16 losers and 19 gainers. Those were the top gainers. Now, on the losing side was yesterday's top gainer, Olympia Capital Holdings. Olympia Capital Holdings lost by 7.95%. That is the price depreciation, closing the day with a price of 2.2 Kenyan shillings. He was followed from the bottom by, we had Express Kenya. Express Kenya lost by 6.85% to a price of 3.4 Kenyan shillings. And then Longhorn Publishers came in at the bottom as well with a 6.84% loss after losing to a price of 3.27 Kenyan shillings. Britam Holdings also came out as a loser yesterday by 4.46% to a price of 6 Kenyan shillings. And Centum Investments Company also lost by 4.41% and lost to a price of 9.54 Kenyan shillings. Total Kenya also came in as a loser at a 3.85% loss, down to a price of 1.25 Kenyan shillings. and those were the bottom losers for you amongst the 16 losers. Remember, when we're talking about the Kenyan market, we are not talking about 18 companies. We are talking about 65 listed companies, 65 companies that are trading on the stock market in Nairobi. Now, let's look at the volumes. Here, we're looking at performance and volumes, because it's important as a trader, as a stock trader, as a person who is buying stock, to get to know how many shares do you trade, how much is your activity. Now, in terms of activity, Safaricom recorded the highest volume of trading, a total of 5.09 million shares, and I think he has maintained this performance and is the number one most traded on stock, at least for our neighbors there in Kenya. And then he was followed by Cooperative Bank of Kenya, who also traded a huge volume of over 1.41 million shares on the stock market yesterday. And then Britam Holdings traded a total of 546,000 shares on the market, while Kenya Power and Lighting Company came in at 499,500 shares. Now let's take a look at Kakuzi company. What is Kakuzi and what is he all about? This was the top gainer for the day yesterday. Kakuzi Limited is engaged in the cultivation of tea. It seems there's something about tea growing in Kenya. You're seeing very many listed tea companies. You have Kapchora Tea, you have so many tea companies that are listed, and Kakuzi is one of those tea companies, currently growing the tea, packaging and selling the tea, as well as avocados and livestock farming, growing and selling pineapples, and then forestry and macadamia development, or macadamia development as well. The company's products include tea, avocado, pineapple, macadamia, orchards, nandi, and livestock, and as well as forestry. Those are the products the company actually deals in. And the tea estate for the company is found in Nandi Hills, located 330 kilometers northwest of Nairobi, Kenya, on the equator, west of the Great Rift Valley. The company's farms have over 408 hectares of avocado, producing and exporting both Fewett and Hass cultivars, and the company's livestock products and services, crosses for dual purposes, and of course dairy cattle and the like. It has been listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange for some time now, and trades under the ticker symbol KUKZ, as we have already seen on the board there. And they are the 20th most valuable stock. That is very notable there, looking at the value they hold on the entire stock market of Nairobi, with over 7.84 billion Kenyan shillings worth of shares in market capitalization, which is about 0.343% of the entire Nairobi Securities Exchange equity market. And when you look at their prices, yes, there have been quite rough ups and downs, and here and there, of course, having a price to earnings ratio of over 24.48, and shares outstanding are currently 19.6 million shares, and the market capitalization, as we have seen, 7.84 billion Kenyan shillings. Now let's look at their deeper analysis for the 1 week performance, and also in terms of 1 day and beyond. Just yesterday, they gained by 8.6%, closing at 400, after opening the day with a price of 368 and closing it at 400 shillings. Kakuzi, however, began the year with a 385 Kenyan shillings price, and is ranked, and this was a 3.9% gain in terms of price valuation, and is ranked number 24 in terms of year-to-date performance. Kakuzi, however, is the 36th most traded stock on the Nairobi Securities Exchange over the past 3 months, having a total volume of over 169 a total volume of over about 434,100 shares that are worth 169 million Kenyan shillings over this period. And they have an average of about 6,890 traded shares per session. That is Kakuzi for you. He came out at the top of the markets yesterday, and is providing you with an opportunity to invest in Kenya. And of course, as I said, you're not limited by boundaries. When it comes to financial markets, you can definitely cross the borders and invest as much as you can. There is no limit to how much you can be able to trade. That definitely gives us a little bit of a picture of Nairobi. But before we go to Dar es Salaam, very briefly, Nairobi yesterday also witnessed an increase in the all share index. Remember, they have a benchmark index, that is the all share index. It went up by 0.15 points, and that was a 0.1% daily gain in the points there on Nairobi Stock Exchange to close at exactly 147.03 points on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Looking at their all share index, representing a 1 week gain of over 3.53% and a 4 week gain of over 3.3%, but an overall year to date loss of 11.67%, meaning the markets are returning to profitability. The markets are returning to their former glory. Of course, after being bombarded by COVID-19, after being bombarded by inflation, the weakening of the Kenyan shillings against the United States dollar, and so on. So we're seeing some bit of activity return to the market, and definitely we hope for even a much better performance in the near future at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Now, Dar es Salaam, let's have a look at Dar es Salaam. Some of the top gainers and the bottom losers very briefly. Dar es Salaam, we're seeing NMG came out as a loser, that's Nation Media Group, after losing by about 7.23%. And then Jatu came out as a loser as well at a 3.33% loss as well there. KCB Bank also came out as a loser. Nico was a loser, and then the only gainers we had CRDB and Jubilee Holdings Limited on the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange. Remember, they have a total of over 29 listed companies on Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, and definitely you can still find opportunity on that exchange as well to be able to trade moving forward, of course. Now, let's look at very briefly, as of course we wind up the show, the cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are not financial markets, but they do influence financial markets, because definitely companies like Tesla, companies like SpaceX that are listed on the New York Stock Exchange, you will find they deal with Bitcoin. And so whatever happens to Bitcoin influences some of these companies. Let's have a look at some of the kind of the top coins, if I may say, and see how they have been performing for the last couple of days. Now, looking at Bitcoin there, Bitcoin lost by about 0.26% and currently is at $23,993 US dollars. And then you have Ethereum at exactly 1.7% decline up to, and that was in a 24-hour count, to about 1,877.49. The Binance coin is currently at 317.51 US dollars after having lost about 0.36%. And then XRP came out as a gainer at 0.59% in the last 24 hours. Cardano came in as a 0.06% loss, that is in the last 24 hours at 0.553511 United States dollars. The Binance coin came in at a 24-hour gain of 0.06%. 0.07%. And of course, those are the top coins that we would like to break you down for you, and hope, of course, you took note. And definitely, if you are a cryptocurrency enthusiast, you can look into that. But I warn you, in Uganda, we are still under a ban on transactions for mobile money at the moment to cryptocurrency. However, you can still trade on crypto if safely you're not transacting from mobile money to cryptocurrency. And definitely, if you know exactly what you're doing about crypto, because one way people make losses is ignorance. If you don't know what you're investing in, better not invest at all. Better you put money where you really understand how the money is going to be able to work for you there. Now, let's cross over to Kenya. Now, in Kenya, we are seeing that the Kenya Eurobonds risk has fallen. And of course, it has fallen on investors' confidence after the polls. International investors have cut Kenya's sovereign risk rating sharply, lowering their yield demands on outstanding Eurobonds by an average of 5.86% points in the last month. Now, Kenya's peaceful conduct of its general elections has helped cut the political risk that had partly driven the yield jump in July. While fiscal pressure is also expected to ease on the back of falling crude prices and the possibility of resumption of grain exports to the Ukraine and Russia from the Ukraine and Russian nations. And now secondary market yields on the bonds normally go up when investors attach higher risk perception to an issuer, with bond prices going the other way as more people look to offload the papers. These yields are also a guide to an issuer on the rate they can expect to pay should they float a new paper. And in the mid-July, yields on Kenya's outstanding Eurobonds that trade at the London and the Irish stock exchanges rose to all-time highs of between 15% and 22%, forcing the government to shelve plans for a new issuance over what it termed as unfavorable market conditions. These yields have since then retreated to between 10.2% and 13%. And in the international market, yields on the Kenya's Eurobond declined by average of 248.5 basis points, with the largest fall in yields 313.6 basis points as well. And for the year 2024 maturity, that is according to the Central Bank of Kenya in the weekly bulletin that was released last Friday. Now, the highest yield is on the 7-year bond maturing in 2027, and that is at 13%, while the 13-year paper maturing in 2034 is the lowest at 10.25%. And in mid-July, it was the 10-year paper maturing in June 2024 that carried the highest yield of over 22.04%. But this has now retreated to 12.19%. And the lower rate demands by investors bode well for the incoming administration, which is inheriting a budget that carries a deficit of over 845 billion Kenyan shillings for the year ending June 2023. To fund this budget hole, the Treasury is expected to borrow at least 280 billion Kenyan shillings from the external market, which will come from the concessional loans from the International Monetary Fund and World Bank, as well as commercial borrowing. That is, of course, a story on the Kenya Eurobonds risk rating that is, of course, falling on investors' confidence after the polls there in Kenya. And of course, you can follow more on that story on www.smart24tv.com. Thank you very much for being a wonderful viewer of Smart 24 TV. You can catch this show every Monday to Friday here at exactly 10 to 1 p.m. And with me, Anthony Sebale, your host, we break down some of the things that are still mythical, for example, about the financial markets. Anything you would want to know, we will be able to bring you all that and more of the headlines in the financial markets world. Thank you for remaining with us till now. We will see you tomorrow, sometime, same place. And you can follow us, remember, on Twitter at Smart24TV. You can also follow me on Twitter, that is at Anthony Sebale. And you can as well leave a comment and give your concern, which will be shared on the show. And of course, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.